Chapter 368, A Bright Future. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. The ninth commandery princess nodded her head and stood there squarely. She solemnly listened to every word that Zhang Yuochen said. Zhang Yuochen took out a storage pendant which was made of crystal blue jade. It was exquisitely carved. Holding it in his hand, he could feel a slightly icy air. Zhang Yuochen took one step forward and put the storage pendant on the ninth commandery princess's neck. He said, "Not only can the storage pendant store things, when you are in danger, just infuse your genuine qi into it and it will activate the defense inscription to save your life. But it can only be used 3 times. Ninth sister, you have to use it carefully." This was not only an amulet but a space treasure. The ninth commandery princess knew clearly its value. The ninth commandery princess gently touched the crystal clear and beautiful pendant. She loved it so much. Zhang Yuochen continued to say, "I put a few things inside the storage pendant for you. There are 550,000 spiritual crystals." Before Zhang Yuochen had finished, the ninth commandery princess shouted, 550,000 spiritual crystals. Ninth brother, I can't spend so much. 10,000 spiritual crystals are enough for me. 550,000 spiritual crystals equaled 500 million silver coins, which was more than what was in the Yunwu commandery's national treasury. Never mind the fact that the ninth commandery princess was a warrior at the completion of the Black Realm. Even for a warrior in the completion of Heaven Realm, that was a sizable fortune. Zhang Yuochen said, "If you practice step by step, you won't spend so many spiritual crystals by the time you reach the completion of the Heaven Realm. But, I am giving you these spiritual crystals because I hope that you will be able to buy the best pills to increase your cultivation and refine your physical quality. In the meantime, it can also save you time in terms of going outside to get experience and merits. In this case, you will have more time to practice your martial arts. Only in this way can you be ahead of your peers. When you are on the road of the martial arts, you should not be afraid of spending money. Spiritual crystal is not as valuable as time. You should improve your cultivation as quickly as you can when you are young. Only in this way can your practicing speed get quicker and quicker, thus leaving your peers far behind. Is 550,000 spiritual crystals a lot? It's actually not. The top genius in the saint families and the half-saint families spend over 1 million spiritual crystals in the 4 realm of martial arts. And a top genius like DE probably spends more than 10 million spiritual crystals. So, it is impossible for warriors in Omen Ridge to catch up with them. Thus the disparity will get bigger and bigger. The ninth commandery princess thought that what Zhang Yuochen had said seemed to make sense. But she still thought that 550,000 spiritual crystals were too much. She did not know how to use them up. However, Zhang Yuochen did not care about this. He continued, "Except spiritual crystals, I also put a more valuable thing in the storage pendant. It is the authentic half-saint's sacred glyph left by Brightness Half-Saint. It is of no use to me. However, it can help you practice your spiritual power and understand the martial arts of Half-Saint in the glyph at the same time." The ninth commandery princess's mouth dropped open. She was too shocked to say anything. She had seen the Half-Saint's sacred glyph in the Western campus. However, that was just Rubbing's scroll. Even so, she could only perceive it for 1 day each month. And now, Zhang Yuochen just given her the authentic half-saint's sacred glyph. This fortune was definitely more valuable than the 550,000 pieces of spiritual crystals. Ninth brother. The ninth commandery princess blinked her beautiful eyes. She was totally surprised. In the past, she had just thought that her ninth brother was an amazing genius. However, she had never thought that her ninth brother had so many practicing resources and he was richer than the master of a great suzerain. It could be said that with these resources that Zhang Yuochen gave her were enough to help the royal family to recover its strength within 10 years. Zhang Yuochen smiled and said, "You don't need to say anything. I understand. You are my ninth sister. If I don't give you the treasure like the half-saint's sacred glyph, then who should I give it to? Ninth sister, it's just a matter of time that your cultivation will exceed fourth brother's. The future of the Yunwu commandery depends on you." In fact, Zhang Yuochen also wanted to write down some rare books of martial technique and give them to the ninth commandery princess. However, With Zhang Yuochen's current cultivation, he could only write about martial techniques in the mid-class of spiritual stage at most. It was very hard to write down the martial techniques in the superior class of spiritual stage. They could not learn the quintessence of them unless Zhang Yuochen stayed and taught them hand by hand. Obviously, Zhang Yuochen did not have so much time. On the contrary, there were many complete martial techniques that they could choose from in the library of the School of the Martial Market. Therefore, it was better to tell Lei Jing and ask him to take more care of the 9th Commandery Princess and Zhang Shaxu than to have Zhang Yuochen teach them some martial techniques that lacked quintessence. With just one word from Lei Jing, they could freely choose martial techniques from the School of the Martial Market. Zhang Yuochen believed that he had such an influence in Lei Jing's heart, and Lei Jing would also like to help him. Thank you, 9th brother. The 9th Commandery Princess tightly hugged Zhang Yuochen's strong waist with her lotus root-like arms. Then she leaned against Zhang Yuochen's chest and cried. She knew that her 9th brother was going to leave now. He probably would not even come back in the future. She just wanted to hug him a little longer. Maybe this was farewell forever. The eagle would be away from the nest, the rock would fly over thousands of miles, and the hidden dragon would soar up into the sky. The vast world was their home. They might not be back to such a nest as Omen Ridge. In the morning, the sun was just rising. When the first light of the sun shone upon Devil Marshal City, the gold-glazed tiles in the city were covered with a layer of bright light. A dragon eagle of more than 40 meters long opened its wings and flew up, emitting a majestic aura of reckless waste. With its wings fluttering, thunder sounded in the sky. Afterward, it shot up to the sky. At this moment, Lei Jing, Zhang Yuochen, Six Sinkong, Shang Kiki, Juan Mook Singerling, Concubine Lin, Kong Xuan, and Guogo all sat on the back of the Dragon Eagle. They were going to the divine land of Eastern Region to attend the Saint Academy's examination, which was held once every 10 years. The Dragon Eagle was Lei Jing's transportation tool. It was a 5th level inferior savage beast. It had golden feathers and a divine dragon-like head. It was strong and mighty and could be considered the king of savage beasts. Originally, Lei Jing had spent 3 years fighting with it dozens of times to subdue it. The Dragon Eagle's flying speed was astonishing. It took only 1 day to fly out of Omen Ridge's field. There were still mountains and hills on the ground, being covered with fog and cloud. The scene was like a giant map scroll. Everyone was very joyful and excited and full of expectation because it was their first time visiting the divine land of Eastern Region. Even Lei Jing also sighed with deep emotion because he had not been in the divine land for a long time. He had been staying in a small place like Omen Ridge. The ambition of his youth had been worn away long ago. Ever since he started to practice the Blood and God classics, he had gotten high confidence back. Not only did he want to bring Zhang Yuochen and others to attend the Saint Academy's examination, but also he wanted to look for a chance to reach the half-saint realm in this visit to the divine land of Eastern Region. On the ground, the Blood Spirit Queen stood on the top of a mountain. She looked at the giant dragon eagle and frowned slightly. Is it possible that they are going to the divine land of Eastern Region? In Devil Marshal City, the Blood Spirit Queen had not got the chance to attack. It was not until today that she saw that Lei Jing taking Zhang Yuochen and the others out of Devil Marshal City and followed them. The Dragon Eagle had already flown out of the field of Omen Ridge. It did not want to stop, so the Blood Spirit Queen started to doubt. Since it is so, I will also go to the divine land of Eastern Region. Maybe I can merge the half-saints light sooner. The Blood Spirit Queen turned around and took a look at Omen Ridge. A disdainful smile appeared on her cold and pale face. Afterward, her body turned into a blood cloud and continued to chase after the Dragon Eagle. On the back of the Dragon Eagle, Shang Kiki was reading about the geography of the Eastern Region. The more he read, the more excited he was. Six Sinkong was also reading about the geography of the Eastern Region. However, the more he read, the more he frowned. Shang Kiki laughed out loud and said, "If I didn't read it, I would never know it. I was a frog living at the bottom of a well before. Thinking of that, the 36 commanderies in Omen Ridge were very vast and I would be a big figure if I were famous in Omen Ridge. Now I just found out that Omen Ridge is a tiny little place in the Eastern Region." Six Sinkong said, "According to the record of the latest geography of the Eastern Region, There are 106 superior class commanderies in Eastern region and about 12,000 inferior commanderies and medium class commanderies. There are newly built commanderies and destroyed commanderies almost every year. Only the 106 superior class commanderies are relatively stable, because of their powerful national strength and long history. How vast is the world! I was also a frog living at the bottom of the well. Lei Jing was standing on the top of the dragon eagle. His body was like a metal tower, majestic and terrifying. He said, those inferior commanderies and medium-class commanderies were all wild places with ubiquitous savage beasts, barren hills, and turbulent rivers until Empress Kaiyao ascended the throne and built a civilized country. Therefore, Empress Kaiyao's political and military achievements were matchless. Even if many emperors have appeared one after another since ancient time, no one can compare with her. The inferior commanderies and medium-class commanderies have changed frequently because of their short history and shallow culture. Only those superior class commanderies are more stable because they have a longer history and more profound martial arts inheritance. Of course, the history of superior class commanderies is not worth mentioning in front of the divine land of Eastern region. Since ancient time, the Eastern region that people talked about was the divine land of Eastern region, which had nothing to do with the commanderies built in the wild. In their eyes, we are just a group of uncivilized barbarians and savages. When Lei Jing had been young, he had been pushed aside and looked down upon. Therefore, he knew well the pride of warriors in the divine land of Eastern region. In their eyes, warriors of the commanderies were nothing. Never mind the warriors in the divine land of Eastern region. Even the backbone of the imperial court of the First Central Empire did not think much of them either and regarded them as a group of savages. Therefore, they were allowed to build commandery. Otherwise, the imperial court would have changed the commandery into a shire long ago, building up a more perfect system. Zhang Yuochen gently nodded his head. He said, the so-called superior commanderies, medium commanderies, and inferior commanderies are too tiny. The total area of more than 10,000 commanderies combined is far less than the divine land of Eastern region. In that vast land, the martial arts have been developed to its limit and even diverges from the Holy Road. And, even the Holy Road has been developed to the level of great success. Someone can reach the level of Saint King, which is the king of all saints,